Bienvenue à tous. Welcome, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. It's great that you're taking time to listen to us in this, I'm sure, very busy schedule of yours. The presentation will be done in English today, but please don't hesitate to ask questions in French at the end when it's time for questions. We will be able to answer them in French. I'll present myself and then I'll ask my colleagues to introduce themselves, and then I'll give you a little pointers on what we're going to touch on today. So my name is Michael Bélanger. I'm an international advisor at the IGHO, and then I'll introduce to you what we do in the office, but I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves. Leah?
Hello, so I'm Leah Elkor, and I'm an advisor at the International and Global Health Office for international programs, and I'll be covering a small part of today's presentation.
And then Christina?
Hello, there we go. Can you see me now? My name is Christina LaPearl, and I'm the lead coordinator for academic program management. And today I will be talking to you briefly about the MHIP, which is Medicine and Humanities. It's actually the International Summer School for Medicine and Humanities program.
Perfect, thank you. So today the topic of conversation or presentation will be, we'll give you a small intro about our office. We'll present to you the international elective opportunities that are available to you year 1 and 2. And then Christina will talk about the MHIP. You'll soon know what this abbreviation means, so she'll explain to you a lot about that. And then Leah will share other opportunities that are available to you as well. So before we dive into the thick of the subject, we would like to give a land acknowledgement, and then we pay respect to the Algonquin people who are the traditional guardians of this land. We acknowledge their long-standing relationship with this territory, which remains unceded. We pay respect to all Indigenous people in this region from all nations across Canada who call Ottawa home. And we acknowledge the traditional knowledge keepers, both young and old, and we honor their courageous leaders, past, present, and future. To talk about our office a little bit, the IGHO promotes internationalization at the Faculty of Medicine and the sustainability of international partnerships and the global health program through 4 key areas. So you see the 4 key areas here. I'm not going to read them, but basically our office was built so that all of the international activities or opportunities and things that are done internationally at the Faculty of Ottawa are under our umbrella. So we kind of make sure that the opportunities or the activities that are done go via our objectives and our mandates. It's a little bit the reason why we exist. So today we're going to talk to you about the international elective opportunities for year 1 and 2. We know that during year 3 it's a little bit more difficult. Your schedule is a bit more, is too intense to do international electives. Year 4 you can go out and do international electives. But during year 1 and 2 we saw that there were opportunities for you to do electives during the summertime. So we have partner organizations in which we have signed partnership agreements, and we receive from these institutions learners every year. So we would like to share with you that you can go out to these institutions as well. In France, we have 3 partner institutions: Université Paris-Saclay, Université Paris-Cité, and Université Claude Bernard, which is based in Lyon. In China, we have the Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, we have the Mohammed bin Rashid University. So those are the partner organizations or institutions for which we have official partnership agreements with, and then we we do mobility. So we receive students, but we would also like to send learners. In France, so basically, if you are interested in one of the partnered institutions, the application process is the same for all of them. So either it is Paris-Saclay, Paris-Cité, or Claude Bernard in Lyon. The process is the same. The observerships are minimum 2 weeks, and they can go up to a maximum of 2 months. But yeah, usually 2 weeks or a month is the time that people go for. Observerships are available in July and August. If depending on your schedule, they would accept you as well in June, but depends if you're finished or not. The University of Ottawa can support you by offering a $1,000 scholarship. There's a little asterisk there because we are exploring other scholarships opportunities, but for now, we can say $1,000, but in the future, maybe we'll have other scholarships available for you. And the deadline to apply for this opportunity in France will be February 28th. You can complete an application right here with the QR code. I'll talk to you about the process, the full-on process a little bit later on. And then we can, at the end, we'll be able to answer all of your questions. And then I'll pass it on to Christina that will talk to you about the MIP.
Hello. Hi. Okay, so the MHIP stands for Medicine and Humanities International Program, ou en français, le Programme international de médecine et les humanités, or PIM, PIMH. Since 2017, we've had an International Medicine and Humanities Summer School, which has been hosted by one of our partners. We have a partnership agreement with 4 universities, and they're similar to the electives: University of Ottawa, University of Lyon, Claude Bernard 1, SJTUSM, which is the Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine in China, and the SHUTCM, or TCM for short, which is the Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine. So these institutions take turns hosting the event. Last year, it was us who hosted here in Ottawa. Before that, it was in China, and before that, it was in France. So this year, again, it's returning to France. The official program runs from July 7th to 11th, which is Monday to Friday, but additional social events are usually added on the weekends. So you can probably expect to arrive on the 6th or 7th and leave on the 12th or 13th. Program sessions are offered mostly in English, so if your French is not as strong as you'd like, this is a great opportunity for you to go and further develop your language skills and continue to have discussions about medicine and ethics and humanities. Dr. Michelle Chamy is returning as the director for the University of Ottawa side of the program this year and will be traveling with the group to Lyon. And the program is still being discussed, I mean, the final details, but based on past years and current planning discussions, we know the theme will be the body, and suggested activities include visits to hospitals, research labs, and museums. And you can expect discussions on prosthetics, enhancements of the body and gender, the body and traditional Chinese medicine, healing the body through movement such as Tai Chi and possibly other martial arts, as well as dance and yoga. And so on and so forth. We are also planning on a stipend, usually around $1,000, but for the MHIP, they handle it differently. Usually they will cover the cost of your residence accommodation, and then any additional fees will be put on your student account. And again, this is also under discussions. We're trying to see if we can't get more funding. And last but not least, it's worth noting that the MHIP program could potentially be combined with one of the electives that Michelle described on the previous slide, and then you could have a longer stay by extending your trip to France and doing an elective in either Lyon or in Paris. So I guess that's it. Deadline is March 31st, and you need to submit a letter of intent, 250 words, to our email address, igomed@uottawa.ca. That's it.
Thank you, Christina. So yeah, please note that the application process is a bit different for the MHIP. And yeah, Christina has a good point where if you go and you get accepted with the MHIP experience, you could tag along an elective before the conference or after in either Lyon, or if you want to move a little bit in Paris, in one of the institutions in Paris. Establish partnerships in China. She mentioned it as well, the Shanghai Jiao Tong University. The application process is the same. So the QR code is right there. I think the applications as well, UGME has put it on your Brightspace, and you can find it in a few different places, of course on our website. But the duration is also a minimum of 2 weeks and a maximum of 2 months, with the possible scholarship of $1,000. But there's a little asterisk there because, drum roll, for China, there is other scholarship available to you. So there is the Philanthropy Family Foundation Mobility Scholarship. The little catch here is that the exchange needs to be for a minimum of 1 month. So to be part of in the mix to maybe get the scholarship. The full amount is $20,000, but that is not for one person. That's for the entire body of students, learners that would go on an exchange or on a term or in China. So the amount of each scholarship will be determined by the number of eligible learners selected. So that's important to know. You see the criterias, and this procedure is through the scholarship and bursaries that you can access through Eurozone. So you just would need to look for that name, Philanthropy Family Foundation Mobility Scholarship, and then if you apply to go in China, I'll talk to you a little bit about the process, but you get selected. You could also apply for this for a scholarship for a bit more money. Kathy, if you don't mind, if you maybe could hold on to your question, and then we'll answer it at the end, if that's okay. Next, the UAE, similar thing. We have a partner organization, which is partner institution, that is the Mohammed bin Rashid University. Application process is the same. Then opportunities in France and China. The duration is also the same, 2 weeks minimum, maximum 2 months, with a possible $1,000 scholarship. You can go on the QR code. So if some of you may have gone already on the application form, and so you can select which of the institution interests you more. So this is important at this time to tell you that this is step 1. So this application form is really the first step in the process. So once you apply, we need to do some checkups with UGME as well. And then we have to process things. Depends also on the number of applicants. We have a set number of places that with each institution of the number of learners that we can send. So if we receive 50 applications for one institution, we'll have to kind of do a selection process. But yeah, UGME will be involved in there as well. And it's important that once we provide you with a selection letter, you will also need to do some steps with the institution. Some of them will ask you to answer or provide a lot of different information. They usually work with portals, so you will need to input the information in portals. We can provide you with letters of acceptation here. We know them, so we have contacts with them. We can provide you with information that way. So it's easier if you do it on your own because we have partnerships with them, and then we have relationships with them. So that makes it easier, but it's a bit harder than just apply with this form. So you will need to do other steps. And it's also important for you to know that once you get accepted, unfortunately, we provide some support, but we cannot kind of fully support you in terms of finding accommodation or booking plane tickets, or if you have like very specific answers, unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to kind of support you in all of the minor details of planning your trip. But we can answer some questions if you have them, but in some cases we are unfortunately unable to find you a place to stay or give you tips on what's the best quartier in Paris to live in or things like that. Unfortunately, we cannot do that. And then you can also find your own elective. That's a different kind of process. You need to make sure that the placement that you find will adhere to the Faculty of Medicine's ethical standards, and of course be situated in a safe area. You can go online and complete an application form, and then on that application form you will need to describe where, which country, which institution, because it's not a partnership that we have already. And then you send the application form to us, either via elective at UOttawa or IGHO elective. And then with UGME, we'll look at it, we'll approve or deny it, depending, and then you can go from there. And then I'll pass it to Leah.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I'll be presenting a few other opportunities that could help you in building your capacity in health and global health, and particularly because we fund these opportunities. So we have the Sanya's Anti-Racism Indigenous Cultural Safety Training Program, which is an Indigenous-led, policy-driven, and systems-level education intervention to foster health equity and mitigate the effects of systemic racism experienced by Indigenous people in health and other sectors. This opportunity is particularly interesting for you if you are interested in Indigenous health. So because it explores different topics and aspects of Indigenous health. Most importantly, it's online and it's self-paced. So you have around 8 weeks to complete the training. The total is like 8 to 10 hours. So in terms of time, it is not very long, and you'll be able to work through like a lot of materials throughout these 8 weeks. If this opportunity is of interest to you, it is important to note that this opportunity in terms of eligibility is offered to all Faculty of Medicine learners, not just medical students, and particularly those of you who are registered in the concentration in global health and social accountability. What we are able to offer in terms of funding is a $300 reimbursement. So once you are accepted, in this and we send you an acceptance, you will be able to complete the course. Once you pay the amount, we'll be able to reimburse you upon completion. So you need to provide a certificate of completion so we are able to reimburse. The application deadline is February 28, but if this opportunity is of interest to you, I would encourage you to apply ASAP because you'll need to complete the training by the end of April, so we are able to reimburse you. There are 2 application forms that you could complete, one in English and one in French. There's also another opportunity that we could offer, which is the Global Health Conference Participation Program. So this is of interest to those of you who would like to participate or present in a global health conference. In terms of eligibility, you'll need to be a full-time student of the MD program. You need to demonstrate and prove interest in global health and how this participation in this conference in particular would contribute to your global health education and build on your experience. We could cover, as part of the funding for this opportunity, we could cover up to $500 to cover conference-related expenses. This could include travel and any conference registration, but we could cover up to $500 of cost. And the application deadline is also on February 28. You could fill out the information about the conference and you will be asked to elaborate like a small budget. So we are able to review your application and send you an acceptance accordingly. I guess that's it from my end. These are also the links for the Global Health Conference. And yeah, back to you, Mikael.
I think that sums it up. You probably have seen this message around. I think that UGME also shared it within your Brightspace. So if you have interest, please don't hesitate to apply. This meeting or this presentation is until 1. I know it's a little bit short. We only have like 10 minutes for questions, but we would like to open the floor. If you have questions, me, Leah, and Christina will do our best to answer them. The good question, Emily. There are no set dates because they will welcome you at any time. So it really depends on your agenda or your schedule. Sorry. So when you are available, we'll work with that, and then we'll work with our partners that are aware that we are marketing those opportunities, and they are flexible in when to receive you. À peu près 5. Donc, à peu près chaque institution peut recevoir 5 apprenants de l'Université d'Ottawa. Donc, ça peut jouer un peu moins que 5, ça c'est OK. Mais si on en reçoit plus que 5, on devra peut-être négocier. Mais le chiffre, là, dans les ententes, c'est 5. Leah, I think that there's 1 or 2 for you there.
I'm gonna read out the questions actually, so we make sure we don't forget any. Was there a deadline for the mobility scholarship for students doing an exchange in China? I believe it's February 28 too, right, Mikael? Yeah. Is there a bursary that covers elective that we find on our own?
That's an excellent question. I would probably say potentially the $1,000 credit that would be deposited in your UO campus account. But I'm not like 100% sure on that, but probably.
Someone asked us to repeat the answer about the maximum number of spots in English. It's 5. Is there a separate application process for the elective bursary? So
No. So once you're in the unless it's the China specific one that we mentioned, that has a specific process, but for the others, it would be pretty much automatic.
okay. There's another question. I remember seeing somewhere there's a partnership with a hospital in Tanzania. Was this in the past, or is it available for us? Yes, indeed. We used to organize a community health elective in Tanzania for year 1 and year 2 learners. For this year, we are changing the model into a clinical elective for year 3 and 4 learners to apply to. We'll be having another session just dedicated for these opportunities. The maximum number of available spots, 5 each for each of the sites in France and China.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
5 per institution. Any other questions, Leah, coming in? It's great that you're reading because I don't see them.
In the chat, no. Yeah, I'm reading the chat. Is it possible to talk about the benefits of doing an international elective? Yes, of course. So yeah, actually, we wanted to highlight the importance of doing an international elective within our opportunities available. Like we are, honestly, as an office, we are working into promoting international experiences through our established partnerships. And this is why we wanted to highlight the available international opportunities that could be facilitated through our office. It is definitely important for you also to look into other opportunities that you could find on your own if you're not interested in the ones we are presenting today. So yes, this would give you more of an international and cultural experience. You'll be able to explore health systems in a different context than the one that you are used to. So that's one of the many advantages of having an international elective experience. I think, Christina, you have your hands raised, and there will be a question right after that.
I do. I just wanted to share, in case it wasn't clear, for the MHIP program, all three universities participate. So even though the event will be hosted in France, in Lyon, with obviously students from that university, the students from Shanghai, both from the Shanghai Jiaotong University School of Medicine and the traditional Chinese medicine, do participate in the program as well. So it is a truly international event where the students from all three countries come together, and there's usually a total of 45, a good mix from all three countries. So it's a great opportunity for those that want to connect with students from China as well, because they will also be there, as well as the students from France.
Thank you, Christina.
There is one question in the chat, Michael, related to the additional funding beyond the $1,000 bursary, and when we would think that we will have more information about it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Like, we wish we had that information to share it today.
I'm gonna say in the upcoming months, but I cannot put a specific date on that answer. But we're hoping that within a few months we'll have more information about that.
Like the $1,000 is the guarantee, and anything above that is to be confirmed.
That's it. Yeah. Is there another one? I think there's another one that I just see them coming, but I cannot read them.
Okay, I'm gonna read. Is there any specific selection criteria for locations that get many applications, such as Paris?
I would say it would be on a first come, first serve basis. Unless when we check with UGME, there are something, in the file, but yeah, I would say first come, first serve.
In that case, are we able to start applying as of now? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, good answer.
So are we having 41 applications since we have 41 participants?
We'll see. Well, it's 1 o'clock. There's another one.
There's one more question. Sorry. Yeah, if anything happens and we would need to cancel our elective, how early do we need to do that?
If you get accepted and you go through the process and then you change your mind and you cancel, I mean, I would say maybe like 2 weeks prior. Things happen. I mean, if there are circumstances that are out of your control and then you have to cancel the elective shortly before it happens, then things happen. But the sooner the better, I would say. Like if you know that you're not going to be able to go, sooner rather than later, because if you're a first come and then we do the process with you, and then so you're kind of grabbing a place that could be filled by somebody else. So if you apply, don't do it lightly. Like, make sure that you will really want to go, and then we'll go through with you in the process. And then if at any point you want to cancel, that's okay. I mean, that happens. But I would say the sooner the better.
There's another question also about if we are able to share slides and the links. Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
the
could
session.
I could send it to the folks at UGME that could potentially put it on your Brightspace. I'll try to get in touch with UGME, and they can maybe add this presentation on your Brightspace.
Also, by what date would we know of our acceptance?
I would say soon after. So the deadline is February 28th. So by end of March, you would probably have an answer, because summer is coming quickly. So you would need to prepare all of your things and go through the process with the host university. So by end of March, I'm hoping that acceptance letters will be sent.
And for MHIP, the deadline is March 31st, and we usually know the week after.
Thank you.
There's one more question. Is there not an application process for the observership? It's first come, first serve. What about the humanities program? I think, like we mentioned, that the MHIP program has a different application process. So, Christina, would you like to fill them in?
Very briefly, the MHIP program, you submit a letter of intent. Why do you want to attend the program? And it has to just be sent to our IGHO Med at uottawa.ca email address. It is Dr. Shami, who's the director of the program, who will read the letters of intent. They usually get submitted with a CV as well. And he will make the decisions. He tries to accept as many people as possible. But I think we have a cap at 15, but again, it really depends on how many applicants we get.
Okay, for you, Michael, there's another question from Nina. Can we apply for the placements in France in addition to requesting a placement that we found ourselves in another country, just in case the placement we found does not get approved?
I would say it would be best to do one at a time. So the process is not that long. So if you find your own elective, go through via this path, and then usually we work very closely with UGME. It's fairly quick, the acceptance speed. So if you prefer to go that route, I would go that route first, and then apply to a France elective.
Yeah, another question. It was mentioned that it was first come, first serve. In that case, sorry, not seeing the full question. You'll be reviewing and selecting applicants on first come, first serve basis.
Yeah, that's it. So there are a few steps that we need to do in evaluation of the applications. So we'll go through that with UGME, and then once that process is done, we'll start contacting people.
And clarify, it's the same for MHIP as well. It's almost always first come, first served, unless there's something in the file. If you're not up to date on your payments.
If you have other questions, which were all great questions, we thank you very much. We've stretched the time a little bit, but you can always write your questions to IGHO elective at uottawa.ca. There will be a staff member from our office that will gladly answer your questions. Thank you very much for being here to take some time from your busy schedule, I'm sure. And then we'll be in touch with UGME to send the presentation and for them to be put on Brightspace. And then, yeah, hopefully you will have a good weekend. Maybe go on the canal and skate or have a great time with your friends and family. Thank you very much.